Hi, this is Margaret with Civic Nebraska's voting rights team, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Latinx voting rights. And I do have a guest here with me today. We have Lupita Ayala Montanez from the Grand Island Multicultural Coalition. Thanks for joining me, Lupita.
Hi, thank you for having me.
To understand the relationship between voting rights and all Latinx people, we really have to take a close look at the relationship between Mexico and America. So we're going to start with the Mexican-American War, which lasted from April 25th, 1846 to February 3rd, 1848. Under the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Mexico conceded about 55% of its pre-war territorial claims. The treaty added an additional 525,000 square miles to United States territory. Although the treaty provided assurances that the existing rights of Mexicans who owned property in the transferred territories would be honored, that was not always the case. Land grant disputes in New Mexico remain ongoing today, 172 years later. For most of the 19th century, the U.S. had virtually open borders, allowing people to move freely between Mexico and the United States. In October of 1849, Lieutenant Colonel John B. Weller and Surveyor Andrew Gray were commissioned to mark the new border between the United States and Mexico. The work was difficult, with few geographical references to mark the distinction between the two countries. Weller and Gray frequently quarreled, culminating in Weller assaulting Gray and Gray shooting Weller in the thigh. These are apparently good qualifications for you to go on and serve as U.S. Senator and Governor of California, because that is what Weller will do. Mexicans residing in the newly acquired American territory were given the choice to remain Mexican citizens or become U.S. citizens. Over 90% chose American citizenship. You have to understand that in order to retain their property rights, if you were a Mexican and you owned property, you would have had to relinquish your property if you wanted to remain a Mexican citizen, and you would have to leave the area. So it is not surprising that over 90% chose to become American citizens. It's estimated the U.S. gained between 75,000 and 100,000 new citizens. Voting rights were extended to males over the age of 21, but people of Mexican descent faced prejudice, intimidation, and violence when exercising their voting rights. This will remain the case for, unfortunately, a very long time. It's not until 1975 with the La Raza Unida Party, the United People's Party, which was a Chicano nationalist third party, they testified before Congress right before the extension of the Voting Rights Act. They cited numerous examples of voter intimidation and suppression against Chicano people. This included gerrymandering districts to dilute the power of the Chicano vote. If you are unfamiliar with the term gerrymandering, it's when those in power slice up voting districts in a manner that makes it easier for them to retain their power. They also threw out ballots of people who could not write their names, and the beating of La Raza Unida party member Modesto Rodriguez. As a result of this testimony, Congress added protections to the Voting Rights Act that require jurisdictions to provide translation materials to facilitate voter registration and participation. And here in Nebraska, we do have a few counties that have a high enough percentage of Spanish as a first language speakers that some polling locations do have to include that material in Spanish. President Ford signed the extension of the Voting Rights Act on August 7th, 1975. But, you know, we would like all of these presentations to end with, and they all voted happily ever after, but unfortunately that is not the case. And since 2010, Latinx people have increasingly faced voter suppression, particularly in the form of strict voter ID requirements. In the 2016 election, 9% of Latinx respondents polled say that they or someone in their household were told that they lacked the proper identification to vote. Only 3% of white voters reported the same issue. And I think that is so huge that I'm going to say it twice. 9% of Latinx respondents say that they themselves or someone in their household were told they lacked the proper ID to vote. And only 3% of white voters had the same issue. That's 3 times as many Latinx people who are facing that hurdle to cast their vote in elections. So, Lupita, what can you tell me? What does voting mean to you?
Hi, Margaret. Well, I'm not a U.S. citizen yet. I'm working on it so I can vote. The reason why I believe it's so important is because as minorities, we need representation. We need someone that understands our struggles and cares about us. Um, I have family members that are U.S. citizens, and we don't really talk a lot about politics because we come from a country where there's a lot of corruption. So, like, it really doesn't matter if you vote. But here, there's not that trouble, so that problem. So, I usually talk with them and ask them. I'm like, hey, are you going to vote? Are you registered? If you are, then why are you not voting? Why you're not learning about your representatives? And I usually get the same answer that, well, it doesn't matter. I'm like, well, it does matter. Like, if you choose someone that cares about you and that is as interested at the same problem as you can make the change. So I believe voting it's important because that's the way you share your voice.
Thank you, Lupita, and I certainly hope at some point, yeah, that we will get your citizenship done, and you can join us in the voting process. If you are interested in helping protect voting rights for all people, we would love to have you join us as a voting rights advocate. It's very easy to do, and right now in this period of social isolation, we are using our outreach circle, which is an online platform with actions you can take from the safety of your home. So you don't even have to leave your house to work on issues that are important to you. You can join our circle by either scanning the QR code that you see on your screen with your smartphone, or you can visit the link that is there at the bottom of the page. But yes, please come help us defend democracy.
Well,
Thank you for joining me, Lupita.
thank you.
And thank you all for watching.